borer. If it's not in Des Moines, it's knocking on the door, Jason Parkin.
Yes, and we have our city arborist here. David, you're joining us again. You've been on the show before, and we brought you back because now we have this critter, as we thought we would, knocking on the door in Dallas County. Not yet in Polk County officially.
That's correct. Discovered most recently just south of Waukee in Dallas County. We've been searching our own ash trees. We're taking trees down proactively. We've searched more than 500 trees. Haven't made that hit yet, but we still expect it's here. We just haven't discovered it.
If it spread this fast from eastern Iowa, it didn't do it by itself. Is that correct?
Correct. It'll only travel a mile or two a year on its own, and the prime way it travels is either through green ash lumber or more commonly through camping firewood. So we're always advising people to use your firewood where you buy it and don't transport it across state lines.
So now that it's here, the city has to do something about it because it's 20 or 30% of the tree population in Des Moines.
We kind of fit the national average, which is 14%,
okay.
And for us that represents about 47,000 ash trees.
Okay, and that's public land.
That's correct. We have about 1,500 ash in our parks in people areas, and another 6,000 trees as ash street trees.
So I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, just so what do we do now? If we kind of assume that it's here, since it's in counties surrounding us, what are we able to do?
Right. So we've got a plan in place. We rolled it out last April, about this time last year. And that plan calls for proactive treatment and removal. And with this recent discovery in Waukee, or the Waukee area, we're now within that 15-mile radius for treatment. We've been holding back on treatment. That's a DNR recommendation. So now that we're in that bubble, we're going to go ahead and start treating those trees. There's the adult critter on the screen. It's less than an inch wide. It actually fits on the head of a penny. But that is not the part of the critter that does the most damage. It's actually the larvae that tunnels under the bark.
Oh.
There we go.
There's the tunnels.
Yep, kind of a serpentine pattern, and as it weaves its way through there, chewing its way through, it disrupts the flow of nutrients and water from the roots to the top, and that's the part that kills the tree.
So it's the outside, really, of the tree under the bark where that happens.
Correct.
Right?
The trees kind of live immediately under the bark. So there's part of our website. There's one of the signs that
when it changes color like that?
Yeah, kind of a mottled appearance, and when you see that instead of a dark gray, that kind of browny.
Yeah,
yep, there's that larvae again.
Yeah, larvae, yep.
Yeah, so he's about 1.25 inches long, and when he tunnels under there, it disrupts the flow of nutrients. There's the adult.
Do they make noise at all when they get to be adults?
No, it's not like a pine beetle that you can go into a pine forest and hear them gnawing away. That's it's pretty quiet about its work.
Yeah.
Is it another way you can tell is if you see woodpeckers at your tree that you haven't seen
Correct.
before?
So that's in late stages. There's so many of those, so many of the larvae in there. The woodpeckers do hear what we can't.
That's a supermarket.
Right. Yeah. And they go and they fleck the bark off. That's why we call it flecking. It changes the color of the bark.
Oh, that's what that's from.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, I didn't realize that.
Yep. So we put a plan in place, and as early as last spring, we were out identifying trees. And I've got a little sample here to show that in the early going, we were either identifying with a red paint dot at the base of the tree to say it was going to be a removal tree.
Okay.
Or high up, we've got this aluminum numbered tag, and that signals that the tree is going to be treated.
Okay.
And so we're going to be treating about 1/3 of our ash trees.
Like a little dog tag, isn't it?
Correct. And more recently, what people are finding, when our contractor actually gets around to wanting to remove the tree, he's wrapping a poster around this with cellophane and signaling to the entire neighborhood that that particular tree is going to be removed.
Your choices are to remove it because it's going to die and eventually fall down, or if it's healthy enough to treat it, right?
Right. So we've got a little program lined up. We're kind of using the acronym EAB for educate, activate, and beware. And if we can get to those slides, we'll see that the educate is really learning about what your ash tree might look like.
Right.
We want people to be aware so that they can make their own program. And we'll get the identifiers on screen shortly, but the way you know you've got an ash tree, it's got opposite branching. There only are two large trees that have opposite branching. The other one's a maple tree. and I'll bet Jackie even knows what a maple leaf looks like. So,
yeah, I don't know
yeah.
much about plants, but I do know
Yeah.
an ash tree if I see it. And you have some in your backyard, and you've chosen to
Yeah, I
inject
did
them.
treat. I think it cost us $90 and it'll
Yeah.
last 2 or 3 years.
Right.
Now the problem, your job is to take care of what happens on city property.
Correct.
The trees on city
Correct.
property. The problem here is that there are people out there who are private homeowners that may not know about this, have a bunch of big ash trees in their yard, and a few years down the road are going to be stuck with a bunch of dead trees.
Correct, correct. So we're really trying to alert them, and we're doing our best to get the message out. We've had workshops, we've had library series, we show up in neighborhood meetings, but I think the vast majority of our residents still don't know that this environmental crisis is upon us.
All right, David, what's the best website for people to go to get information on this?
dmgov.org, but a really easy way to find all our good information is just Google Des Moines Forestry.
Des Moines Forestry.
Des Moines Forestry.
Moines
That'll take
Forestry.
you to my website, and on there we've got some hints for how to hire a good arborist. We've also got all the neighborhood maps on there. You can find your map and see how many of the trees in your neighborhood are either going to be treated or removed.
Now, is that the
Okay.
website we were looking at earlier?
Correct,
Okay,
correct.
go check that one out, folks. Just check it out with Google. David, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very
Appreciate
much.
it.
Have a great day.
You too. 2 minutes past 8 o'clock. You're watching What He Said on KCWY.